Hello and welcome to GogoTraining. My name is Barry Lewis. In this show, we're going to discuss principles and enablers, what they are, and how they help. To learn more about me and my background, be sure to check out my GogoTraining profile on GogoTraining.com. All right, let's get started. In this podcast, you learn that these two areas are fundamental changes in COBIT 5 that help drive your governance in the right direction. Relying on the integration of the 5 principles and 7 enablers, COBIT 5 further defines good governance. So what do we mean by principles? Sounds like either a person in charge of a school or something we all should have, doesn't it? Well, ISACA defined 5 high-level principles that guide the framework in the right direction. These principles are meeting stakeholder needs, covering the enterprise end-to-end, applying a single integrated framework, enabling a holistic approach, separating governance from management. That's a lot to digest, isn't it? Well, wait till we get to the 7 enablers. But let's look at each one of those principles, shall we? Meeting stakeholder needs. Enterprises exist to create value for their stakeholders by maintaining balance between the realization of benefits and the optimization of risk and the use of resources. Stakeholder needs can be met through the goals cascade, translating high-level stakeholder needs into enterprise goals, and then further down into manageable, specific IT-related goals. And finally, mapping those IT-related goals to specific enablers, the COBIT 5 processes and the practices within them. Covering the enterprise end-to-end is the next principle. COBIT covers all functions and processes within the enterprise. COBIT 5 doesn't focus only on the IT function, but it treats information and related technologies as assets that need to be dealt with just like any other asset by everyone in the enterprise. It considers all IT-related governance and management enablers to be enterprise-wide and end-to-end. In other words, inclusive of everything and everyone, internal and external, that's got something to do with governance and management of enterprise information and related IT. The third principle, applying a single integrated framework. Well, COBIT 5 aligns with other relevant standards and frameworks at a high level. It can be the umbrella, if you will. So it could serve as the overarching framework for governance and management of enterprise IT. You might still implement more detailed standards like ITIL or 27002, the ISO standard for security. They become the more detailed activities that come out of the umbrella of COBIT. The next principle, enabling a holistic approach. Well, efficient, effective governance and management of enterprise IT require a holistic approach, taking into account several interacting components. COBIT 5 defines a set of enablers to enable and support the implementation of comprehensive governance and management system for enterprise IT. Enablers are broadly defined as anything that can help achieve the objectives of the enterprise. There's 7 of those, and that's a critical new area in COBIT 5. We'll chat about them in detail a little further on. The next, separating governance from management. Well, this principle within the COBIT 5 framework makes a clear distinction between governance and management. There's a domain now in COBIT 5 strictly in place to highlight the need for governance and the processes relevant to a governance framework. These 2 disciplines encompass different types of activities. They require different organizational structures. They serve different purposes. Governance ensures that stakeholder needs, conditions, and options are evaluated to determine a balanced, agreed upon enterprise objectives can be achieved. Sets direction through prioritization and decision making, and monitors performance and compliance against those agreed upon direction and objectives. Management, therefore, they do the plan, build, run, and monitoring activities, aligned to that direction set by the governance body, helping to achieve the enterprise objectives. All of these principles, they help make COBIT a framework that covers the entire business. Now, what about those enablers? What are they and how do they fit in? Well, I mentioned enablers are factors that individually and collectively influence whether something will work. They work together and they interact with each other to help ensure that your goals are actually met. I mentioned earlier there are 7 enablers. Let's go through each of those. The first enabler that forms the foundation almost are principles, policies, and frameworks. This is the vehicle to translate the desired behavior of your organization into practical guidance for day-to-day management to follow. It sort of sets the stage of what you want to occur. The second enabler are processes. Well, processes describe an organized set of practices and activities that achieve certain objectives and produce a set of outputs in support of overall IT-related goals. These are the COBIT processes, 37 of them in COBIT 5. The third enabler is organizational structures, the key decision-making entities in an enterprise. And so obviously important to understand what your organizational structures will be and how they help or hinder your decision-making. The fourth, one of my favorites, culture, ethics, and behavior, because it focuses on the people, the individuals, and the enterprise, because they're often underestimated as a success factor in governance and management activities. So making sure the right governance, the right culture, the right behaviors in place. The fifth enabler, information. Well, naturally information is required to keep the organization running and well governed. But at the operational level, information is often the key product. The sixth enabler, services, infrastructure, and applications. That's our infrastructure, that's our technology, our servers, our Windows and Unix, and our networks that provide the technology processing and services for the business that we're running. And finally, the seventh, people, skills, and competencies. They're linked obviously to people's and the human resources side of things. And they're required obviously for the successful completion of what we're trying to accomplish and the right decisions and the corrective actions. When you're using COBIT 5, you want to try and always consider all of those enablers to make sure that each enabler meets the needs of other enablers, because you can see how they're interconnected. Processes, for example, need information. Organizational structures need skills and behavior. Using these enablers and implementing COBIT 5 is a great way to improve your governance of enterprise IT. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. If you'd like to learn more about this topic, go to my course page and see the full course outline. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you on GogoTraining.com.